that it, or will there be more in the Wike Atiku PDP drama?
Women are going to face them in this game.
Women groups threaten the election boycott if we set targets and our guests decides which is what amongst available options. We'll begin with the latest episode of the week of Wike's Bangers, we've called it, and the Wike Atiku PDP Wahala series. While inaugurating the Rivers State PDP campaign council in Port Harcourt, Governor Nyesom Wike insinuated that the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, does not want him and the state's chapter of the party to partake in his campaign, saying those who disrespect the state and its electoral relevance do not deserve the support of Rivers people.
What it is what? Interest. If nobody accommodates the interest of River State, then we have nothing to do with such people. If you say that you have no interest for River State will don't have your own interest. It's only those who like us who will like them.
Still from Rivers State, we hear that the Federal High Court sitting in Port Harcourt has nullified the primaries of all Progressive Congress APC in Rivers State. The presiding judge, Justice Emmanuel Obili, gave the order in a matter filed by the aggrieved members of the party who were shut out of the primaries unlawfully. The court held that the unlawful exclusion of the aggrieved members, the process amounts to nullity. And the suit, Judge Olu and four others who claimed to have purchased nomination forms had approached the court requesting that the primaries of the APC in the state be nullified following the alleged exclusion in the process. The suit was a pre-election matter. Meanwhile, women groups are forming a common front to gain significant leverage this electioneering season, and their currency is their numerical strength and their promise of their support. The female politicians under the platform of Women Festo are meeting in Abuja on modalities to achieve set targets.
A lot of manifestos that is weakening the status of women in politics and leadership and depriving them of relevant role models. That we have capacity is not in doubt. The next election, except something drastic happens, we may not have as many women as we have ever had.
And we're looking at how to have a corruption-free election. Of course, again, the women are the lower rung of society. They're the ones who are not empowered. They're the ones who don't have money.
If we want to make decisions for ourselves, we should make decisions not based on ethnicity, not based on religion, but we can look at the manifesto of candidates to see which is going to be inclusive.
As story lineup for tonight, we heard the supporters of the All Progressives Congress say the presidential candidate of the party, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is the only candidate among the frontliners with a track record that speaks volume. The Advocacy Group for Leadership Development Initiative said it endorsed Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu because of his economic plans and security strategies for the country.
It's a man that believes in human capital development. He developed the youth. When you come in contact with him, you can never understand. The time has come for all of us to wake up. I believe that he is the right candidate for 2023 because he has everything it takes to lead this country forward.
If you are going to vote for anybody at all, ask yourself some of these questions. Is the candidate the right person? Where has he served? Can you call the spade, but not terminologically inexactitude? Is he going to be an asset or liability to the country? Is he being loved by 2/3 of what's to be here? If he meets all the requirements, vote for him. Of which Asiwaju Bola Tinubu pass the questions.
Now we'll get right into it. My guest for tonight is a prince in every sense of the word, apparently a man of experience as well, an entrepreneur. and the presidential candidate, Young Progressive Party, YPP, Prince Malik Ado Ibrahim. Welcome to the ballot.
Thank you very much for having me.
I'm sure you have had a princely life. I mean, I want to be like you when I grow up. I mean, growing in Iberia land. But I hear you schooled abroad from as early as the age of 5. So some would say, I mean, you may not really be cut out for this. In the sense that you never had to face some of the harsh realities that those in the middle class and those family on the lower echelon of society about to face for decades in Nigeria. What do you say to those who think your reality and that of a vast majority of Nigerians who have known poverty most of their lives are two extreme parallels? Can you roll with the low and the poor just as much as you roll with the high and the mighty?
Well, I think the question is more, can I elevate those that are less privileged? The ability to do that comes from empathy and understanding, and I come from a minority group in Nigeria that has always had to battle with this. But notwithstanding, my family has always proffered servers for the nation, from the IG police, from ambassadors, ministers. We're not afraid of getting our hands dirty. We may come from privilege, but we're there to serve, and I'm just another generation of the Atta family doing just that.
Okay, so I'll be honest, I could only do a quick flip through of your Reset Nigeria project, which towards a new Nigeria.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if it was it's anchored on certain tenets, anchored on what you described as the 3 cardinals: electric power, security, and the economy. I do like the fine prints and all. The aesthetics, the page planning, color print.
Lovely.
Viewers delight, I must say. But reading in between the lines, your plan, whilst idyllic, seems somewhat esoteric. Maybe I read the executive brief, which, by the way, was about 20 pages. So I don't know. But how do these 3 cardinals tie together in terms of linkages? And what are the seemingly simple or maybe complex practical steps, and maybe pinpoint the innovative ones that you're bringing to bear to make this new Nigeria you see in our future happen within 4 years?
Well, I think the simplicity of it is that you've got to take those 3 cardinals as the standing block for resetting of this nation. The foundation is intrinsically wobbly. So what are we worried about? Power. Without power, you have nothing. You don't have security, you don't have economy, you don't have jobs, you don't have healthcare. We're sitting in the dark ages in the country in 2022, and just one thing you can definitely be sure of is the power is going to go off. Fixing this is not something you do overnight, but there are innovations, and this is the background I have. This is the unique position I have as a member of the YPP family and the presidential candidate, is I bring that international knowledge and building skills to be able to bring an energy mix into Nigeria, something no African country has done. But at the top of the world, you have a Nigerian that is participating in global power solutions, and I bring that expertise for consideration for Nigeria. And then you look at the next part, which is security. Look, without power, your security doesn't work. We had a breakout in Kuje jail. There was no light. There was no power to see what was coming. You had no way to radio ahead. They needed diesel for a generator. We're in a pathetic situation. Without power, the security apparatuses don't work. And so for me, the security element is another expertise that I have. I build security systems. I build a lot of very intricate solutions for various countries. I'm very much involved in the military-industrial complex. And that expertise, as well as my military background, allows me to be able to say, from day one, I'm absolutely ready to identify the problems without asking a subordinate. When you're commander-in-chief, you must know what you want. Now, if you put those 2 things together, your economy should work.
Okay.
It works because you've got power, industry grows, there's the ability to grow your economy, and you've got security. So your investors, your Nigerian citizens can feel free to be able to do their work, to be able to go to work. Once those 3 things are put in play, you've got the trifecta, you've got the perfect storm Nigeria should grow. And I believe it will grow because we have a plan for $1 trillion economy, and it's there. It's open for everyone to see. You just need to know how to do it. And I believe that this Malik Ibrahim presidency will do just that.
I mean, it's great how you've been able to tie these three cardinals, and link them one after the other, spiraling down or spilling over to the economy. But pray tell, how does climate change come in? Because I took, like I said, cursory look at your manifesto. There was no mention of climate change or climate crisis. We're inundated by floods across the country at the moment. It doesn't mention the environmental degradation or pollution or waste management. How do some of these issues come in?
Well, the fundamental fact is I was the Undersecretary for Renewable and Sustainable Energy at United Nations under IREO. I know how this works. I have the expertise to be able to do that. And what it translates to is we don't burn fossil fuels. We don't burn coal. We use renewable energy to be able to safeguard some of these things. And the fundamental issue is some of my, I would say, competitors think that we need to blackmail the West. If they don't give us money, we won't build their climate change elements. Look, climate change is also an economic factor. Okay. Nigeria has 54 million hectares of arable land. We should be the breadbasket for the future of the world. We're 1 degree above the equator. We don't have the vagaries of climate change like everybody else. In the next 20 years, this is the place to invest. And if we get the right government in, we will start building, we start preparing for that. We have visionaries, we bring in the right kind of expertise. It's all here in Nigeria. Young men and women that understand what I'm talking about. The older generation, well, it's above their heads, and that's why we are threatening the West with all sorts of craziness. So, no, climate change is definitely part of our problem for the globe. We are part of the global economy, and there is a climate economy there for us to fix, and Nigeria can do very well with that.
I'm pretty sure your plan also recognizes the fact that revenue generation is our major problem, our major problem as it were. And so our national earnings are falling over time, and even now we're going to service our debt. I did peruse your economic plan, and again, the economics seem good on paper, but do you think they are bullish enough and radical enough to lead us from a place of borrowing to a place of surplus, also insulating us from external shocks?
Well, if you look at our budgets over the last 10 years, 70% of our national budget goes to feed and bathe and really welfare for 1 million Nigerians. That's the government. The size of the government is about 1 million people, from your local government all the way to your presidency. 1 million people out of 216 million people are serviced by 70% of the budget of this country. We need to just cut down on our budget size for government. We need to decrease the size of budget. That will free up about 3 to 5 trillion naira that you can use to invest. You can bring in young heads. Our soft economy can be worked on. There's a modern world out there, and we keep going back to this archaic Jurassic kind of leadership. Nigeria is a modern country with a very young population, and you need a young leader with a vision that sees this and can implement those plans. I'm not afraid of what the future is. I've seen it. I want to bring it back home, and I want to deliver this for the wealth and prosperity of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Yeah, you talk about the future, and I get a sense that, of course, your sojourn in, other countries outside of Nigeria gives you some sense, the vast sense of experience, and and it takes me to the issue of security again, and back to state police. I'm sure you're aware of the argument against state policing in Nigeria, but apparently you're a proponent of state police, going by your plans in your manifesto. But how do you plan to handle the issue of getting constitutional backing, as any amendment on policing is purely a constitutional matter? Or do you concur, like some do, that state policing is already inherent in the Police Establishment Act? That is one. Secondly, subnationals would naturally be in charge of state police. Are you likely to subsidize security, since some states may struggle financially? And there's also the gray area of misuse and abuses by state governors of state apparatus and state police.
Well, you see, every country you go to and visit, and as a security profiler as I am, You go to the US, you have state police. You go to England, you have county police. You're in different countries around the world, you have that substructure for security. Our policing is very wrong. It's relying on a very, shall I say, archaic method. The colonials brought a system and we continue to use it instead of we growing to what we are as a nation. The state police, if you don't really need to change the structure, it's actually already there. What I'm proposing is that you put commissioners of police that are from that area. They know the dens of iniquity. They know the troublemakers. You create an...
You're talking about tinkering with the idea of community policing. Is that what you mean?
I think it's just being clever, because intelligence is driven by people who know. You cannot bring somebody from Okene and put him in Lagos and say he'll know everything. He has to learn the system. Why not have a Lagosian? And the other thing is it provides security. You see a lot of police stations being ransacked.
But are we not doing that already? Why do you think that is not working?
Well, it's not working because you can go to every state and you'll find that the commissioner of police is not from that state. It's very rare. It's only states that have really used their muscle, like Lagos, to try to get a local. The federal system works if you underlie it with the state police. The state police, if you do it well, like in most other countries, if somebody's caused a problem in Lagos and he's traveling across the border into Ondo State, the federal police takes over. That's where you see the FBI in the US. The Nigerian police force, as it's set up right now, can do those two jobs. You just have to separate those things. And I believe that the security apparatus, if done well and modernity and technology is put into it, our crime will be just a thing of the past. We will
granted, and I agree with you, granted. But then, how about the issue of misuse and abuses? Is that not an area you're concerned about?
Well, justice for all. Once the legal system is there to work, you do the right thing. There's due process, and I believe that if anything in any country is prone to that. We're having problems with the January 6th election results in the US. The president is apparently pushing people to go and cause mischief in the lands lawmakers sitting. So I don't. Anyone can cause trouble, but if the law is there, as we're seeing in the US, there's a process. People will be brought to book eventually. The long arm of the law will reach, and justice will prevail.
Please help me put something in proper perspective. I mean, from the sound of it, your ideology aligns more with the values of freedom and equality. In fact, in order to categorize democracy in line with, the values that you seem to preach here on the ballot, I would say you're more aligned to democratic socialism. And knowing that issues like privatization and capitalism are inherently incompatible with some of these values, how will you plan to reconcile your appetite for enterprise and market competitiveness? Because I did a quick search on you, and your social contract with Nigerians that recognizes that not everything is about making money and profit.
Absolutely. You see, we're naturally endowed with so many natural resources. We don't beneficiate. We don't take gold and turn it into Rolexes. We don't take lithium and turn them into lithium batteries. We sell everything because we're that trader mentality. Once you begin to beneficiate, when you create value, everybody gets happy and prosperity reigns. We don't, you have people in this way saying that they want to switch from being a raw material type society into a producing society. Have they ever done it? If you've never done it, don't be surprised when they get into office, they don't do it. You need to bring private sector individuals that understand that when you come into office, you're the CEO of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You move that nation as fast as you can.
You were CEO of one of the companies, and since you brought up the issue of experience, let's just quickly dive at that. Obviously, experience is key, whether the experience is derived from governance in public sector or leadership in the private sector like you have. How do you intend to get the buy-in of critical stakeholders into your new Nigerian project, whether it is in health or sports development or the economy, right from the local government to the state level and the private sector? Because, of course, you do know that governance is participatory.
Absolutely. But who are the participants in this? The youth of Nigeria are just being left aside. The economy does not fit them. They are not talked to. They do not have any correlation with the Federal Republic of Nigeria. A youthful leader understands that things like technology come to bear. When we talk about farming, it sounds like backbreaking work. You must show there's modernity in farming. I'm doing this in Adamawa State. We're taking away this idea of Fulani herdsmen running around causing havoc. We kept them where they are. I work with several international. We take the milk from them on a daily basis. 5,000 Nigerian families. Yes, they're Nigerian families. They're Fulani herdsmen, but they're Nigerian families. And we've turned that into a money-making enterprise. They don't move. They produce milk. And this enterprise will probably...
So generally, because we're out of time,
yes,
you think the idea is when the project is laudable, when you get the buy-in, when you make it participatory, and you make them part of the process, you definitely get a buy-in. Is that it?
The Nigerian family needs to grow, and you need a leader that is going to be nurturing and empathetic, and that's what I intend to be.
Okay, at this point, we'll take a breather, and then when we return, our guest will be choosing some options on key national issues. Ticking the boxes is up next. It is now time to tick the boxes, and my guest will review each of the issues briefly and tick whichever box meets his viewpoint. Please be reminded that each target is set against a timeline of 4 years, amounting to a president's first term in office. Let's begin with the first item on the ballot. Let's see. Yes, we do have it there on the screen. I'd like for you to just quickly look at the issues we have on the screen. There are 3 options there for you to choose from. Realistic, unrealistic. If you're undecided on the matter, you let us know. Let's begin with item number 1, economic diversification. Is that a target you think you can achieve in your first 4 years as president of the country? Is that realistic for you? Is that unrealistic? Are you undecided on the matter?
It's absolutely realistic. It can be achieved.
Realistic. We'll go realistic. The second item on the ballot there is fiscal responsibility. Is that another item or target you think you can achieve within the first 4 years of your administration? Are you undecided on the matter? You think is absolutely unrealistic?
I think it's realistic, but heads will roll.
Also, very quickly,
well, you just have to go in there.
Would you be carrying out probes of all past administrations, say from 1999, or which one?
I definitely will be doing that. I believe there's revenue restitution that needs to be paid, and Nigerians want their money back.
Great. We'll see about that. We'll go to item number 3, food sufficiency. I mean, this is a very, important issue as far as Nigerians are concerned. We've had to battle with the issue of food security for decades now. Is this something you think you can achieve in 4 years of your administration? I mean, being the first term of any presidency, are you undecided on the matter? You think it's unrealistic?
I think it's realistic, but we have to move from a sustenance economy on food to a cash crop economy so that we can export things and use the foreign exchange to buy the kind of food we all want to eat, not just to eat what we farm.
And finally, there on the ballot, we've got the item number 4, end flood disasters. I mean, is this something you think you can end in 4 years? Can you create measures to mitigate or rather prevent massive disasters like we've just experienced, or we are experiencing, and like we experienced in 2012? Do you think it's something you can achieve in 4 years, or you think it's unrealistic?
It's unrealistic because the truth is that you'd have to build dams and you'd have to have floodways built, and it just won't take 4 years. You just have to have a plan. You would see progress, but you wouldn't be able to do it all completely.
It was good. Those are your options there on the board. I'd like to thank you so much for coming on the program tonight. Prince Malik Ado Ibrahim, presidential candidate, Young Progressive Party, YPP, for coming on our program. Best of luck in your campaigns, and hopefully we would have you come back here sometime real soon to give us an update on your advocacy. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
And it is official. We have 122 days in our countdown to election day. I hope your excitement is not waning. Please keep the spirit and be an advocate for election participation. Of course, go get your PVCs if you are yet to do so. Collections are currently ongoing at various INEC centers and designated offices. I trust I'll see you again Thursday night at 10:05 p.m. Do keep a date with us on the ballot. Until then, let's continue the conversation online at Twitter at Modipo Nandi. Of course, I'll see you soon. Bye for now.
last week on Conversations.
And the one that sickens me even more is the group of people that we call pedophiles. Oh, the people that cannot get it up except it's the baby. Babies as young as 6 months, as young as 3 days.
That's so tragic. I don't even know.
That is my peace.
If you don't like cleaning up your own mess in the toilet, imagine how it feels for someone else to have to come and do it.
Yeah. Men not wanting to help at home, domestic assistance, if you know what I mean. It's believed that some of those chores are supposed to be a woman's duty. The woman is supposed to cook, you're supposed to wash, you're supposed to clean.
Are the men taking it sitting down?
Definitely not.
Join us on Conversations this Wednesday, the 26th of October, 2022 at 9 a.m. on NTA Network. Let's hear the men's response.
In our society, there are several ways of shouting yay. You say yay, people will run. You say yay, 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 they will dance. In the same way, you can still say what you want to say, which is the truth, without ruffling anybody's feather. You see, it's a matter of presentation.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs, and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV Channel 251, GoTV Channel 91, Preview UK Channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk. Apple, iOS, or Android. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world. Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency. Information is power. It's power. It's all powerful with the NTA News Model app, the one-stop information center. Your news at your fingertip. Get first report by uploading first-hand information on the new report number and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
Hello and welcome to another amazing edition of your weekend.
I'm telling you, it has to be heat and it has to be steamy, it has to be hot. But we decided that somebody has to tell a story that is family oriented.
That's all to fight you.
Welcome to another edition of Talking Movie.
News everyone here cared about.
See, when you say pour out, you can't pour water. You don't excavate water.
This is a #1 program, Valerie.
Do you love to gist or gossip?
If it is extremely wrong. And we love it.
Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Whip and Grill. Welcome to the slant today, where we say it as it is and we get to enjoy ourselves talking about various things that are happening in our society.
One 6-pack. Because your job still remains as the man. To protect the woman, to project the woman.
Hello and welcome. This is NTA Tuesday Live and I'm Cyril Stober. Nigeria's economy has regrettably suffered the monumental waste from what should be a tremendous blessing to outright sabotage of the crude oil largely domiciled in the Niger Delta region. Now this act by some yet to be identified people has over time caused the country huge losses, both in unit of the barrel of crude oil produced and foreign earnings. The federal government in recent weeks has deployed measures coordinated by state and non-state actors to save the country from further waste in the face of dwindling resources. Now, these unwholesome activities from all fringes of the oil-rich region will dominate discussions on Tuesday Live tonight. But before we introduce our guests, let's get to see this report by energy correspondent Lydia Sampson.
Cases of abandoned illegal refineries at the creeks of the Niger Delta is a common sight, despite different accounts of the volume of crude oil stolen in the country. Nigeria is reckoned to be the world capital of oil theft, losing over 450,000 barrels a day. It has maintained this title thanks to a network of criminals among local politicians, security officers, and others who collude with crooked international oil traders and refineries. The activities of these criminals is indeed devastating Nigeria's economy. Key players are unanimous that they must be stopped.
We cannot allow this to continue. Something has to be done. Apart from the toll is taken on the oil industry, the toll that it is also taking on our environment, the environment that is to sustain our people is too much. Government cannot bear it. So this problem must be brought to an end.
That the situation of vandal actions on our pipelines and our assets, degenerating into crude oil theft, which you have seen in the media, many of which we can't even say them on the in the public, is that it has gotten to a point where it needs all of us. Everyone is on the table today, because if we don't arrest this, we'll have no industry.
Members of the armed forces are going to be ruthless with anyone that is found to have engaged in the malfeasance. But I can assure you that at the end of it all, there will be greater improvement in the entire space.
It's among the list of vessels being monitored constantly, and it's been evading authorities for quite a while now, and its route is very funny. It's been frequenting the Niger Delta and at the same time carrying crude illegally to Ghana, precisely Tema.
One of the contractors and teacher security service is the one that makes this apprehension, because the whole architecture is anchored around detection, deterrence, response, and recovery. I think there's no doubt that we have made significant success.
This is unfortunately happening as the Naira is sinking to historic lows against the US dollar, and the Treasury is struggling to meet its foreign exchange obligations. The involvement of the creator communities in guiding the waterways and illegal vessels is already yielding positive results. However, key players say for these long criminal activities to be totally mitigated, there must be sustained collaboration with the buy-in of stakeholders through sustained warnings about the effect on Nigeria's crude oil production and economy. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson.
That report sets the tone for tonight's discussion. Of course, you recall, we started a bit of this last week, but let me introduce our guest tonight. I'd like to welcome to this program Rear Admiral Solomon Agada, is Chief of Training and Operations of the Nigerian Navy. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Let me also welcome Dr. Mike Emu, National Chairman of Host Communities of Nigeria Producing Oil and Gas. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. It's a privilege.
Right?
Thank you, Nigerians. Thank you, viewers.
Good to see you again.
Thank you.
Right. We also like to welcome Comrade Abua Owan, Deputy President Pengasen, that's the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria. Thanks for being here. We also recall that you joined us on this discussion the last time around. Thank you for coming back.
Good evening, Nigerians.
We also welcome to this program Alfred Umor, Communication and Security Pipeline Surveillance Consultant. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Cheerio. Thank you, Nigerians. Good evening.
All right. At the appropriate time on this program, you can get to be part of the discussion, but when it's that time, we'll remind you of the procedure. But let's go straight into this discussion. We started talking about it the last time around, and what oil theft has done to Nigeria's economy, and how this could be going on for so many years with what would seem as little or nothing being done. And the questions were also raised that how could this magnitude of theft go on with all the security apparatus we have in the country. So let's begin from that premise tonight, and let's turn to Rear Admiral Agada and say, well, what's been going on regarding the matter of oil thefts? Is it that we have been unable in the past to detect what's been going on? Or could it be also the same as some people have alleged, that there is a complicity in high places? Let's hear your thoughts on this.
Okay. The issue of oil theft is something that has been on for a while, and as far as the security agencies is concerned, and specifically the Nigerian Navy, it has been an issue that we have been on, and a series of arrests have been made over the years with convictions of perpetrators and vessels that were forfeited to the federal government of Nigeria after due prosecution. And we have never relented in our crackdown on these criminals. But that has continued as also they continue their crime, but we have not relented in our efforts. And to the extent that it has had this drastic effect on the economy, we further, came up with drastic operations right from this year, 1st of April, which from then till now, we have arrested a lot of vessels and also deal with other aspects of this malfeasance in terms of the local refineries that are involved in this sabotage.
And what would you say is happening right now? Is it that in the last couple of years we've seen an increase in the activities of these oil thieves, or is it that security agencies have stepped up their activities to bring them to book? Or is it just a question of in the past there hasn't been much knowledge about what's been going on, but now it has become a national issue?
No, I will not say that there have not been knowledge of what has been going on. I think what have made it a national issue now is the extent to which the perpetrators has gone and the effect it's having on the export of crude. Because in going into this process, they involve themselves in tampering with the export lines, and this has led to a series of force majeures on these export lines that have prevented the country from exporting crude. And that is what has brought about this devastating effect that we are seeing. Because the major export lines like Boni Terminal, Extravos terminals, they have all been out of operation for the past 6 months or over. And because Nigeria is not exporting from these major export terminals, definitely it will have the impact that we are seeing on the national economy.
All right. Let's come back to the national chairman of the host communities, Dr. Emo. Again, the question, I asked this last week, but I'm asking it again. Could all of this have been going on without the knowledge of the host communities?
It is naturally unfortunate that this odd and illegal act of oil thefts, illegal refinery, pipeline vandalization, and etc., that it has actually increased. I think that that the federal government deviated from the security of oil and gas to the war against Boko Haram, kidnappers, and so forth and so on in the northern part of Nigeria. So focus attention was no more given to the security of oil and gas in the community. I, as the national chairman of the host community, am fully aware that no empty vessel or pregnant positive vessel that will leave Nigerian water or come into Nigerian water without the federal government's knowledge, the navies must be aware of the vessel. And I, as the landlord of oil and gas in the Niger Delta, know fully very well that the community is made up of the antagonists and the protagonists. And we are aware. We know those who are the antagonists and the protagonists. We know those who are the bad boys and the good boys. But we need to look at this from a analytical point of view. What is the cause, the consequence, and the cure? So we need to look at the cause of this increase of oil thefts in the refinery. Idleness is a problem in the Niger Delta. Not only Niger Delta, so Nigeria, that we're having over 41,000 students graduating from our university every year, and 10,000 cannot be employed. Those who are involved in illegal refinery, they are graduates. It's idleness. They have nothing to do. So that's number one. Number two, neglect also. The negligence of the federal government to the host community, that the host community is never recognized. The landlord, the owners of the land are not compensated. 30% derivation based on the exclusive legislative list of the 1999 American Constitution, that 30% derivation belongs to the host community. Till date, as I speak in this studio, 30% derivation is in the hands of the governors that former President Olusegun Obasanjo gave to them by mistake, and we protested against it, and he created the Socio-Economic Council for Coastal States.
In the hands of the governors, in trust for the communities, or in their pockets?
In the hands of to the state government, but the law stated that 30% derivation is the benefit of the host community as a result of the laws of their fishing right. And so, when we cried on that, Mr. President said, all right, governors, he created Socio-Economic Council for Coastal State, and they said the governor should give some portions or percentage of this crude percentage to those community. Till date, nothing has been done. Let's look at the issue of pipeline surveillance. European Union recommended to the federal government that those communities should be in charge of pipeline surveillance. Till date, we recruited 10,000 youth, 10 youth from each community. To date, they've not been engaged. If not TSSL, that have just come on board now, employing some of these boys now. So neglect of the region have been there. 30% not in the hands of those community, 3% not in the hands of those community, nothing, no oil block, nothing in the hands of those communities. So federal government should come back to look at it. We've neglected the host community. Nigerian Navy never had meeting with us any day to date. Neither Nigerian Army, neither the IOC or the NOC. And we are the owners of the land. We know what is happening. And we are seeing this oil being carried away every day.
So in all of this, what you're saying effectively is that you know some of those who are carrying out these activities.
Of course.
But you look the other way.
Of course. Those who are involved in it, either the cartel or the syndicate, the cabal that are involved in it, if they are Nigerians, they are not from the north. They are not from the eastern part of this country. They are not from the western part of this country. They are from the Niger Delta. And I'm the father of those children. We know what led them to that. And we cannot stop them until federal government will say, all right, come, let us dialogue, let us reason together on how to solve this issue. Then we talk about creation of job.
Okay, we'll return to that because you've made some very interesting revelations. So we'll return to that in just a moment, but let's go over to Comrade Owen, Deputy President of Pengasin. Comrade, again, I put this question to you. For those who go around and do things to the pipeline and siphon oil, who vandalize all these highly technical and specialized gadgets, they're not ordinary folks like me and people on the streets. They are people who have knowledge about the workings of the oil industry. Do you agree with that?
We've seen from the pictures, from the media, and even from boots on the ground, that some of these installations that siphon the products, crude oil from the pipelines are done absolutely done by experts in the field. But let's get one thing very clear, Cyril. We have, as a country, statutory responsible bodies that should be looking at the protection of national assets, of which, of course, crude oils and the pipelines and the oil and gas facilities generally in the Niger Delta fall under. You have the government security agencies that are responsible to guard and safeguard these critical assets. And indeed, they are abound in the Niger Delta. For over a decade, we've had situations where you have a preponderance of government security agencies, from the Navy to the Army to the civil defense, and name it, the police. There's a plethora of government security agencies domiciled in the Niger Delta, and their statutory responsibility is to ensure the protection of these critical assets. We are talking about the hardware, the pipelines that crisscross the Niger Delta, and then the products. And like has been said, the pipelines and the crude oil does not just disappear, does not just transmit itself from the pipelines to probably European countries. They are vessels. And these vessels are not, they are large growing concerns. They also have situations where for the products that are siphoned to be refined locally, there's a massive footprint of the activities of these vandals and criminals in the Niger Delta. And so we must be able to situate the where the issues are, and be able to take responsibility. I think to a large extent, we have said it as Pengassan, on every occasion that we've had cause to speak on this issue, and there's been many in recent times. When the declining fortunes in the industry had started, we had engaged, first of all the government agencies involved, both from the from the regulators in the industry to the National Oil Company to indeed the security agencies. We had closed door engagements with them. We had we put in some of our ideas as to how these issues can be solved. But to a large extent, there wasn't any improvement. On the first week of September 7th to 9th, we first of all held a World Press Conference, and then staged a protest walk to call the attention of all Nigerians to this issue of crude oil thefts, because it is an existential threat to Nigeria as an entity, where we are losing from some records as much as 700,000 barrels of crude oil every day. These are lost either to theft or to shut in production, and at the end of the day, it is impacting on the bottom line as it affects Nigeria, the revenue base of the country, and we can see the spiral effect on our economy and all. So we must situate the problem properly. The security agencies that are statutorily responsible for the protection of our national assets should come alive to their responsibilities. Yes, I of course heard the
the panelists from the Navy that talked about arrests that have been done and prosecution. I think more should be done. And we should begin to also name and shame these players, because it always appears that it's they are nameless or they are faceless. So sometimes we should do a lot more of naming them and shaming them to the public. Let's know who these players are. Let's know who are these people that are bent on sabotaging the collective assets, the collective investments that 200 million Nigerians should benefit from. And these few individuals are more or less siphoning this forth and depriving the rest of us of our sources of revenue and livelihoods.
We have been joined by another guest at this time, Captain Waredi Eniswo, who is a maritime intelligence aviation satellite system expert. He is executive director, technical and operations, Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited. He joins us via Zoom. Thanks for being with us. But we'll come to you in a moment. But let's first go to Alfred Ubo, who is the pipeline security surveillance consultant here, and easily the same question that we've put to the guests earlier on. How is it possible to siphon such huge volumes of crude and through pipelines, a network of pipelines into the sea, and just ferret it away without anyone seeing this happening? How is that possible?
Through the state actors have put in or are willing to put in order to curb this menace, because sometimes it's quite laughable to have this kind of monumental sabotage on critical infrastructure like oil pipelines. It's not acceptable, because these things are done in the very glare of the entire world, and I don't think it is something that anybody should feign ignorance of at this time, because like you said, and we also understand that oil theft is not actually done by middle cadre players or theft. It is something that is done by experts. When we talk about the sabotage itself, there are elements of reasons or factors of this sabotage. One of it is the very sense of irresponsibility by those who are doing this, who are doing this. The oil thefts themselves. And secondly, the inability of the government to actually do the needful. You understand that the recent past, just few weeks ago, there was some effort, and there was an effort in making sure that these things are tackled, and there was apprehension. There was some level of result. Then we should not, as a people, especially those who are concerned, like those of us who understand what oil pipelines and surveillance and security is. It is something that is very obvious. It's very obvious. It's something that we have to take responsibility and understand that these things are done by people, stakeholders who themselves are supposed to be, who are supposed to protect these things, both people from the community and the state actors. You see, so, but like we said, we must all come together to make sure that these things are done. Providing security for pipeline should be something that the country as a whole, the nation as a whole, should take as a priority. I mean, you cannot just what other resources do we actually have in the country when we have the oil pipelines, which actually providing almost a huge percentage of our revenue is being sabotaged. So if we don't provide security, if the government look somehow complacent and they are not willing to take drastic actions, they are not willing to, there's no political will to actually make sure that these things, this problem is addressed, then we can just be going around the clock without just making any progress. But I believe that the effort so far by the government, the little effort that they have made by getting the locals involved in the security of this infrastructure, it's one thing that is in the right, the right step that they have taken so far, and results are bound to come up.
Let's now get back to Captain Emisu, who's joined us via Zoom. And you belong to a security company that is now working on taking charge and securing these pipelines. What do you see in all of this? I'd like you to look at it holistically. What do you see? What do you make of some of the reasons that the national chairman of the host communities put forward as being responsible for this act?
Thank you very much, Cyril. So I joined a little bit late, but then with the little I could grasp from it, he did say quite a lot of things out there that some are hard knocks, and some are also things food for thought. Well, in my own opinion, and from the experience I've had on ground, I'll say this again, there are a whole lot of factors. It's really beyond the communities also. It's quite a fair bit. My experience so far is that the whole thing is multi-pronged. What do I mean by that? First you've got the local, and then you've got the international, and then you've got the intermediary between the local and the international. Okay? It's very sophisticated. There are a whole lot of reasons. In every scenario such as this, I'll be very frank on it, it's about demand and supply. Now, how well do you take care of the local communities to the extent that they will take ownership of the pipelines and also the contents of the pipeline? It's a separate issue. I don't know how far you're going to go about that. But however, while we put a lot of the responsibility on the locals, we must say that this is not an easy one, especially when you have a very high, and I repeat, very high international appetite for Nigeria's oil. If you take a very good look at the scenario, you will discover that what happens locally, if we put the whole oil theft in a 100% chart, you would discover that about 85% of what is lost is international. Now, coming back to the connections that you saw, those were not connections simply made by locals. That is not possible. There are connections made to trunk lines that are monitored. So there is definitely some level of internal complacency and also internal collaboration with what has happened. Now, one of the unique ones to me that I saw is that in some areas you find security posts close to it. Now, people could jump into easy conclusions that the security officials were part of it or something like that. So far, so good, there's no proof to that. But I'll tell you one thing. It is not also easy for the security officials. They do very, very well in an environment that is heavily bogged down in bureaucracy. It is not easy. Now, one thing you're going to have to note that is a very, very major problem is this. The foreigner, the Nigerian, is trained to see a foreigner as a saint. I want to repeat this very clear. The average Nigerian is trained to see a foreigner as a saint and his fellow as a criminal. So, if for some reasons you find a foreigner come out there, as a security official or something like that, maybe for some internal processes, the security official gets a call that, oh, some of our fellows are coming to carry out maintenance work there. And some bunch of foreigners appear there and start connecting something. How would the locals know whether this person is acting illegally or not? They can't tell. So there are a whole lot of failures in the systems. It's not just a one-person issue or the other. And how well are we aware about the laws of our country? I think many civilians don't even know that all Nigerians, by law, have the power of arrest. They don't know. So, I'm not a policeman, but if I see something going wrong in my country, under the law, I have a right to arrest the person. So, how well do we even synthesize our
Certainly, because a man who's going to plug something into a pipeline and steal crude is not going to be hanging around doing that just that. And I don't see a local resident, an armed local resident, making an arrest there.
Well, it sounds funny, but it will interest you to know that yes, under the Nigerian law, a civilian can arrest a civilian and then hand over that particular person to law enforcement agents. So we, the locals, also have not helped our law enforcement agents at all. It is not easy for the military to deal with civil problems. In fact, the Nigerian military tries a lot, if you ask me. They're doing a good job as far as my assessment goes. It's not easy. It's not an easy boundary. So much has to be done. We have to educate our locals very well. And if you go through the Niger Delta, you would also discover something. The terrain is very, very challenging in terms of economic sense of abode. So some areas are islands. How do you supply fuel, electricity, and things to these people without a carrot and stick approach? I remember when we started this particular project, the cost of kerosene in the area we are dealing with went from about, I think, 200 naira per bottle to 700 naira per bottle. So there are a whole lot of issues fueling it, and it is not easy at all. Now, come into the international scene. What the locals are taking is so small compared to what ships can carry, and these ships don't come close to the shore. So what do? They rely on local smaller boats to be able to bring the product out to them at sea. Now, the whole world knows, maybe Nigeria does not know, that the maintenance cost of a refinery is drastically taken down if you feed that refinery with Nigeria's oil. So the international appetite is high. It's very, very high. Now, the intermediary between Nigeria and these international thieves also play a bigger role, which probably has not been discussed here. There are a whole lot of people who have the licenses to to be able to lift crude either by trucking, then barging, and then taking out to the storage systems outside the country for export. Make no mistakes, these set of people also hide under the cover of having the authorization to lift crude, and then lift on top of what they have illegal crude. So they export the legal one with legal papers, and then export the illegal one with illegal papers. And the world is not going to complain. The world is not going to fight this for you, because it's like a family. I'm not going to disadvantage my family because of somebody else. So it is left for us to have a very, very good look at it. Now, fortunately, we've come to the point whereby, for the first time, we have a very serious government and a serious NNPC Limited that wants to deal with this particular problem. So we have come to that particular point whereby it's either we deal with this now the way it is, or we will lose it forever, because we are going to constantly have outside attack over this issue.
Fine. All right. In addition to the studio discussions, we have a number of reports, and we'll take the very first one of those reports now. This one is coming from Bayelsa.
Studies indicate that the misnomer called illegal refineries thriving in the Niger Delta is a reflection of the corruption and contradictions inherent in the Nigerian system, accounting for the apparent failure of relevant institutions of government at different levels of governance and the petroleum industry players to tame the situation and it developed into a full-blown monster. Today, the Nigerian petroleum economy bleeds under the stranglehold of this monster, which has also ravished communities, polluted the environment, and destroyed the people's traditional occupations of fishing and farming. The health of the people and their life expectancy have equally been compromised through the constant and continued exposure to emissions from interfered gas and oil pipelines crisscrossing.
There are so many other indirect ways of being affected by this chemical. Even our vegetables, the fishes around us. And so when we harvest them and we consume, especially those that are very used to such fishes, they cannot do without eating them. When they consume it at a larger quantity, this is an indirect way of making this chemical find their way into our blood system, into our body, and do the same thing as the direct contamination does.
That's why experts have said the Niger Delta has the lowest life expectancy. While it is 52, 51 in some other regions of this country, it is just 41, 42 or thereabout in the Niger Delta.
Today, products from illegal refineries referred to as coal fire in local parlors are more readily available and affordable. Investigation reveals that even organizations, both private and public, are more inclined towards patronizing coal fire products because they are relatively cost effective. This brings to the fore the argument in some quarters on the need for government to identify the coal-fire petroleum industry players and create a legal atmosphere to streamline the activities for positive ends without compromising the health of the environment.
Coal-fire is there because petroleum products are even difficult to find. So they are doing something and selling it cheaply, and people are buying because the other one is not there.
But of course, providing an alternative means of livelihood as a fallback measure for able-bodied persons in the coal-fire industry would help to foreclose any inclination for any to resort to any unlawful means of survival.
That report from Bayelsa. We have another one from Delta this time.
Nigeria's economy largely depends on crude oil earnings as a member of the Organization of the Oil-Producing Countries, OPEC, and blessed with high-quality crude oil. Consequently, the oil-rich Niger Delta region in the southern Nigeria plays host to quite a number of oil companies who genuinely carry out their exploration business expected to economically benefit the region and the country at large, as well as create more job opportunities. Unfortunately, the reverse has become the case due to what many describe as economic sabotage. This has continued to rise, rapidly robbing the country of billions of naira weekly, if not daily.
By the time we steal this, what we are supposed to use tomorrow, we are already stealing it today. So we are eating into our tomorrow. Automatically, what was supposed our reserve is what we are delving into.
To reflect on the economy. That's what you're seeing now. The implication of that, so people will be getting richer, while the masses of the people will become poorer. It has affected everybody because there is no more money to be spent in order to revamp our economy.
Recently, the pipeline surveillance team in the Niger Delta busted a syndicate of illegal oil bunkering. Of course, the consequences of the oil thefts are not far-fetched as the country's economy is negatively affected. The host communities also bear the brunt as the criminal act often leads to environmental degradation and health hazards arising from illegal bunkering and pollution.
No crops can grow in such environment, and therefore consistent bunkering in a community, in an environment, will not only lead to food scarcity, it will in turn a lot of ailments, a lot of diseases that are associated with pollution coming from gas flare and bunkering. The main stealing of our crude oil is in the riverine areas where they know that people don't stay much. Not very many people stay there.
What government would have done is to call the various areas to nominate their contractors, and by so doing, at least those who are in that area, they are the people that can be able to at least know how best to police their area effectively.
Interestingly, stakeholders are of the view that the proper implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act will go a long way in tackling the economic sabotage. In Asaba, I am Rosemary Omani.
Right, those reports there painted the picture quite clearly. Let's return to Rear Admiral Agada here and ask if the Nigerian military and state actors, security agencies are overwhelmed. Some Nigerians have raised questions that if they are not overwhelmed, why would you need private concerns to handle the security of national assets?
Okay. I will not say that the Nigerian security agencies are overwhelmed. But from all the reports you have heard and also the intervention of some of the panelists, you discover that the fight against crude oil theft today is something that requires a whole of society approach. Everybody needs to be involved. And the security agencies, definitely we are doing our best, but without the cooperation of the communities themselves and other stakeholders, it cannot be, the security forces cannot achieve the level of success that is desirable. But that doesn't mean that we are overwhelmed, because for us, once we see any infraction, we interdict and we channel to the appropriate prosecuting agencies, and they carry out the prosecution as is desired. But even with that, the number of cases that are in court today, how long they have been, there are some vessels that have been under arrest for over 2-3 years. Prosecution is still ongoing. And
also the arrests that we have, those vessels that are in our custody, you have to have minimum of 6 personnel on board each vessel for the security of that vessel. So indirectly, the people that are attached to those units are depleted and tied down. So we even have less personnel that will go out to actually do the interdiction, to do the arrest.
This is getting more interesting.
Yes, that is just the reality of the situation. And as the leader here have mentioned, actually the security agencies alone cannot solve this problem. It requires the intervention, even the political leadership at the lowest level, as was mentioned by the Tantita representative here. It is incumbent on even the civilians themselves, when they see something going wrong, to report to the security agencies, I'm seeing this person doing this. But he has said here that they cannot report because those are their children. They know them.
That makes you complicit, doesn't it?
Yeah, the issue is this: complacency, breed contentment, and this call for avoidance. If my children report, who do they report to? I can produce before federal government tonight and tomorrow my children that reported army, how they were beaten up by the soldiers, locked up for about 3, 4, 5 days, and then later release them. Those who are involved in oil thefts, all these illegalities, they settle the police, settle Nigerian civil defense, settle the Navy, settle the army. Who are you that is going to talk? Who are you going to cry to? So I want to say that
Dr. Edward, that's a huge allegation.
Of course. You see, at my age, at 70s, I should tell Nigerians nothing but the truth. I'm the father of the children, and none of us as parents that we want to see that the children are involved in criminal act.
How do you respond to that?
My response would be that for us, as leadership of the armed forces of Nigeria, we have zero tolerance for any involvement of our personnel in any illegality in oil business. And I can say here this evening, as we are leaving this studio, I will give my number to anybody that cares to have it. If you have any of our personnel that's involved, you can call me or call even the chief of the naval staff. I will give any number that you desire. If you feel that those that are in the field are complicit and they are not cooperating when you see these things, get back to us at the headquarters and we'll deal with anybody that's involved.
Stated here. So, Dr. Lemu,
I believe strongly that if the Nigerian civil defense, the naval will say, all right, of protection to those that are going to be informant. And then there should be a kind of what have been done to my chief at Trompolo and his company, Tatita, is commendable. And we, the leaders of the host community, traditional rulers, we applauded federal government for that. So what we can do is that let federal government, the armed forces, the oil company, the host community come together to a drawing board, have a dialogue, a plan how we can actually handle this issue. Look at all you have just shown to the whole world right now, right from this studio. That means that host communities are aware. There's no way you can carry out all those operations without the knowledge of the host community. We are aware, and we know who is involved. So if the federal government will not come out, all right, let us solve this problem. We solve the problem. We get our children engaged, get them employed.
Now that you have said we have only just done that now, would you supply this needed information to the state now that yes, you have involved us now, and we can give you the list of those who have been carrying this out for the past 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
Of course, we are not happy with the degradation, the industrial pollution, the corrosion. The whole of the Niger Delta is subject to remediation. So if solution will come and we are asked, all right, we've given you this, we take care of this, we take care of the informant, we protect them, give us the information, and then we arrest them. That's what we do.
We'll take a short break here. When we return, the phone lines will be open, and hopefully you can get your views on air. You can call in and tell us what you think about what we're discussing tonight, oil theft and the devastation to the Nigerian economy. Stay with us on NTA Tuesday Live. We'll be back shortly.
The 157-kilometer Lagos-Ibadan Railway is the first double-track standard gauge railway to be built in West Africa. The Modolaji Johnson train station is a masterpiece, an infrastructure that is gradually becoming an iconic building in Lagos State. The modern facilities put the station on a world map of train stations. Likewise, other new train stations across the country built to world-class standards. The train and its convenience is indeed an admirable effort, with commendations from Nigerians.
This is a station that we have to commend the federal government for putting a beautiful face, empowering us in Lagos State, not only in economic and political arena.
I can say that I'm really impressed with the infrastructures in place. Kudos to the Minister of Transportation. Kudos to the federal government.
Truly, good things are coming out of Nigeria, and the federal government is deserving of all the applause.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Thanks for staying with us. And as I said earlier, this segment, the lines will be open. You can call in and contribute to the discussion. And we say this all the time. If you're phoning in tonight and your call gets through to the studio, do us a favor, turn down the volume of your TV set. That's the way to avoid the hurlback or the echo. And when you do call in, we encourage you not to waste time on greetings. Just a mere hello would do. And we also encourage you to keep it short, straight to the point, so that others can also get on the platform and air their views. So we'll start off with one more report, and this is coming in from Rivers.
Nigeria has a large deposit of crude oil, which accords it the position of one of the largest oil-producing countries in Africa. The contribution of the Niger Delta cannot be overemphasized, as the region produces the crude that sustains the nation's economy. As it stands, the region is currently host to oil fields accounting more than 75% of the national income and practically all of Nigeria's oil exports, despite setbacks arising from oil theft in the sector. Nigeria loses millions of dollars as a result of oil theft, with attendant pollution of the immediate environment. Communities along oil-producing areas battle with environmental challenges such as oil spillage, land and water degradation, and displacement of persons, as well as sustained conflicts.
Communities where you are, where you trade this oil from, and you get them involved in whatever you're doing. Nobody can come to my village, and outsider cannot come to my village to steal anything that belongs to the federal government.
I got contract to oil surveillance. You do consultation. You need to talk to the people. You need to let them understand the implication of what this oil theft is to the economy and to the environment.
To address this economic sabotage, the federal government currently is spearheading military campaigns against oil theft, with the mandate of pulling down all structures linked to oil theft and arresting culprits.
Now, each exercise will address issues peculiar and unique to the areas of their responsibility. Those ones here will, among other things, also address the issue of oil theft, which has become an enigma here.
A tactical riverine squadron was able to identify the source of the crude oil theft. Then, with the aid of the helicopter. So I'm able to deploy, and then when we got here, we discovered 4 boats, but one has sunk already. So 3 of them are still floating, and we've equally discovered the manifold where this product is being stolen from.
As government is putting measures in place to address this economic sabotage, it behoves on relevant authorities to ensure defaulters, individual or corporate, face the full consequences of the unlawful act, no matter their position in society.
All right, let's go to Comrade Owen, Deputy President of Pengasan. Well, the communities, we've spoken about them, and of course security agencies, and what's been agreed is that there has to be a collaboration for this to be tackled effectively. Now, what we want to talk about at this point is the input of the professional unions that are in the oil industry, such as yours, who have an understanding of what it takes, and what is the input of the unions, the people who work in this industry themselves. What's their input to this?
Very much, and it's a very beautiful question. Well, first of all, let me say that I agree totally. In Pengasan, we agree that there must be a multi-stakeholder approach to resolving the issues. We all know what the issues are. We have said it over and over that oil theft has been around with us for quite a long time, and today it's only because we didn't do what we should have done probably some 10 years back, and it has grown to the level at which it is threatening our corporate existence. But the solution is to have a multi-stakeholder approach to resolving the issues. I agree totally with the submissions of Rear Admiral Agada on this. What's the role of the unions? So, like I said, what even brought us to this point where we are today, when this has become a very topical issue? That's because everybody is also making a whole lot of noise. Everybody is being affected adversely. Everybody is lending his voice, from the political players to the national oil company to the communities. The oil theft incidences, it is affecting everybody, and the unions also have brought us. I mean, last month we threatened to down tools. And we said, enough, you cannot have a situation where our members sweat to get the oil out of the ground, and then you pump it only for over 90% of the products to be stolen. This is adversely affecting our members. The security of their jobs is no more assured. The improvement of their welfare is in jeopardy. So we took a stand and said, as a pressure group, that government should tackle these incidences of oil theft headlong. Otherwise, we shall down tools. And that has what, amongst other things, have led us to where we are today. 2 weeks ago, we were also invited by the National Oil Company, NNPC Limited, to also let us know how far government has gone to to find a way of tackling these issues. We addressed, the leadership of Pengasan was addressed by the group CEO of NNPC Limited, Malam Melekiari, and he let us into what government is doing, what the NOC is doing. We also were taken to the incident control center. They have a monitoring center where we were shown from a screen. You had monitors of real-time incidences, real-time monitoring of the Niger Delta area, where most of these activities are taking place. There's also a monitoring real time of vessels operating around the our offshore waters, where most of these vessels are remotely monitored, and we saw it on the screen that there were some of these vessels where their transponders are put off deliberately, and so from the screen you see that they are there, but they appear not as live, but as they appear as probably gray. They appear gray on the screen to indicate that these are vessels of interest. These are vessels that have suspicious activities going on. Now, that system was developed 90% by Pengasson members. They were developed almost 90% in-house. So we both, from the point of view of our membership cutting across diverse skill sets, and we are contributing our quota both on the private, personal, individual levels, or as our members' roles on the job, and also as a union. We have collaborated and we will continue to collaborate with government, both at all levels, with government at all levels, at the security level, at the operators in terms of the industry, the operators in the industry level, and all other stakeholders, to ensure that this is this issue is nipped in the bud, because it is also a survival instinct. Indeed, without the industry, there wouldn't be workers.
Let's go to the phone lines now. We have Aliu calling in from Makudi. Hello, Aliu. Go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Go ahead.
Yeah, I go for our elderly statement there. What he said there, we have to follow that thing. If there is no this thing, how can they solve this without security? They are without those things. That thing that elderly state is very, very good and fitting very well. That's my contribution.
All right, Aliu. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for calling in.
Good night.
All right. Let's go over to security surveillance consultant Alfred Umar. In all of this, how well can you say Nigeria is equipped to keep a keen eye? Now, I'm looking at this not just from the point of view of the security agencies alone, but I'm looking at the country itself. How well equipped it is Nigeria to keep an eagle eye on the network of pipelines that we have and the installations.
That's a good one. How well equipped? Now the issue is, for me, first let's take it from the point of the political will of government, both the government at the center down to the local. I mean, because we have no matter the level or high level of security infrastructure that you may decide to have down there, if there's no serious political will to make sure that one, offenders are apprehended and there's prosecution, I mean, we will not actually do much or do more. Like the chairman, our chairman Oscom has rightly stated, these things are on the plane, and I mean, because you cannot just, it's not really possible, so to say, to have this thing done without the major players, the stakeholders oil theft is not, like I said earlier, oil theft is not something that is done by middle and the low class pilfering, agents. It is done by major stakeholders, both the collaboration of the government, stakeholders, both the natives, the security personnel and all that. Let me say so, because we cannot just have a huge vessel come down to to get this oil siphoned. Before, let's even talk about, before an oil pipeline is being tampered with, there must be levels of technical test and assessment on the flow of this the system. So you understand that, like our brother just said, there are systems in place. Actually, technically, the surveillance system, both the ones from the back end of the the NNPC and other private security concerns, but these things are done with let me put it this way, with some level of compromise, or high level of compromise, by those who are supposed to man this this technology. Now the government may actually or need to do more. They really need to do more by one, getting the locals involved and making sure that things that the boys, so to say, the local communities, the people down there who are better, who have good knowledge of of security, of how to secure these systems, are engaged. They have to do that. Then secondly, the government itself have to try as much as they can to play above the board, because we can just keep saying it. We can keep saying it over and over and over and over again. Oil theft is done with some level of compromise across board.
Let's return to the phones, and we have Umar calling in from Birnin Kebbi. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Theo. Good evening.
Yes, Umar Anachi.
Umar calling from Birnin Kebbi.
Go ahead.
Okay. Oil theft. You and I know that is not done by ordinary Nigerians. This is a crime of very important personality. It's a crime of the highest order. And this crime should be equated to treason. It's a crime of very important personalities. Open all the security agencies that we have in Nigeria. Open all the prosecuting agencies that we have in Nigeria. Yet, this thing is going on almost a decade. They are destroying our economy. This is painful. It is quite painful. And I don't know how I can describe this. Definitely. But what baffles me most is that the illegal refineries is set up by a certain group of people. Yet, the government is not able to build a refinery. This question of building a refinery becomes a problem in Nigeria. What does it cost a government to build a refinery? What does it cost an individual to build a refinery? If there are illegal refineries all over the place, what was the licenses issued during Obasanjo administration? What was the licenses issued during Obasanjo administration? Please and please, the government should investigate this thing and punish the those who are capable of doing those things, doing bad things to our economy. May God continue to bless our country. The country is blessed, but few individuals have honored the blessing of this country to the detriment of over 2 million Nigerians. This is unacceptable.
Okay.
May God continue to bless our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Umar Anachi. Thank you for your views. And let's go over to Captain Enisiro. And at this point, how would you describe the level of cooperation you get from the locals now and from state authorities?
Thank you, sir. The cooperation we get so far, so good. It's excellent from the communities. From the military, I think we have never had it so good, because without them, we will not be able to do what we are doing today. Now, with the communities, as I said earlier, it's not a one-way thing. Even today, we had a couple of meetings with a couple of others. We continue to identify the relevant stakeholders, and it's an expanding database for us in terms of intelligence also. So we're very, very happy that they still come forward, because they're beginning to see the good work that is going on ground through the TV stations and interviews like this. So they are coming forward day by day. But I want to also add something while I still have some time to do so. Crimes take place in a society not just for fun, but it's because the perpetrators can. What a lot of these criminals have taken advantage of is the fact that we lack a very, very cohesive and robust automation. Without automation, it's going to be very, very difficult. And to do these things manually, it's not going to be easy. Why am I saying this? Good. As at today, you have technology good enough to even send you an alert on your telephone that a specific location on your pipeline has been breached. That is how good the technology is today. You can get an alert on the exact location on your phone. Now, if you look at the east-west road, there are a lot of trucks that carry both refined products. We've arrested some carrying even crude oil. Now, what stops the organizations from automating their processes such that even the policemen on the road, or the civil defense, or the military on the road, by mere scanning of a plate number, tells you whether that truck is even supposed to be on the road that day? Because we have had situations whereby we've impounded trucks and it takes hours to verify if that truck is even supposed to be on the road, let alone carrying a product. And in between those hours, you'll be amazed the amount of phone calls that come pressurizing you to release this truck. It's not easy. So we have to back the government up. Now, coming to ships. Ships don't just leave their parent rooms. We have technology good enough to monitor ships from outer space as they approach your waters. Now, how well are we willing to share information? Because in a very heavily bureaucratic environment where I can't talk because I have a boss above my head, so everything has to go through that boss. That boss has a boss, and that boss also has a boss. In all this bureaucracy, you are only widening what I call the criminal window of opportunity. We have to deal with this criminal window of opportunity with automation. I'll leave it here for now.
All right. Well, then with the military being so regimented. Oh, we have a call on the line. Sorry? Do you know who's calling in from Oshun? Right. Maybe if you're on the line, go ahead.
All protocol duly observed. You see, I want to contribute with what my people have been said earlier. Since Nigeria at large cannot even build the refinery by themselves, and look at the situation that we have been doing to the South Africa for refinery or to refine our crude oil. Don't you know that people are even look at Nigeria? By so way, this illegal refinery that they are saying, I can see that if the government can even sponsor them or encourage them, maybe that this refinery they are destroyed can still help us out of what we bet ourselves today. That is the way I want to say it. God bless you. God bless Nigeria at large.
All right. Thank you very much, Dave. Well, just before that call, we're going to put this to Reverend Agada. By the very nature of the military, it's regimented. The hierarchy is something that the military holds so much. So when you get to do such national assignments, and given the high stakes in the business of oil, and for the fact that those who are involved in this are raking in huge profits, you get the phone call that Captain Israel was talking about, that kind of a scenario where people are apprehended and addicted, and then pressure begins to mount from society, surprisingly sometimes, from the traditional institutions, from political bigwigs, and sometimes from the military hierarchy. Do you get that scenario happening to you?
Let me say no. Let me digress a little. Talking about technology, we have system in place right from Abuja here, where we monitor the entire exclusive economic zone of Nigeria, especially the oil facilities. And any vessel that is not nominated by NNPC to lift products that we find in any of those fields, we apprehend. A case in point is the well-known case of Heroic Ido that occurred in July. That vessel was monitored by our infrastructure, and when we checked our database, she was not expected to be at Upper Field on that 7th of July that she came in. And we made the necessary contacts with NNPC Total, and they all confirmed that she has not been cleared to come in. And we dispatched our vessel to direct the vessel to leave the field and anchor at Bonny Anchorage, pending when she will be cleared. And the situation unfolded to the extent that that vessel eventually shouted or broadcast piracy attack after being in communication with the naval vessel, that the vessel was a pirate vessel. And in order to avoid collateral damage on that vessel, we allowed her to proceed out of Nigerian waters, but made contact with our partners, which is Equatorial Guinea, under the architecture, and requested for them to apprehend our ship. And it was the same infrastructure of the Nigerian Navy that we used to guide the Equatorial Guinea Navy to the position of that vessel to arrest her. As of today, that vessel has been investigated by Equatorial Guinea and fined for some infraction in our waters. And we are on the diplomatic process of repatriating that vessel to Nigeria to answer for her coming into Nigerian water illegally. So there are technologies that we have, and there are many others. Even up till yesterday, we noticed a vessel that switched off our AIS, that is automatic identification system, proceeding out of Nigerian waters. We had to send a helicopter with our personnel to board that vessel in the sea, over 100 nautical miles from Nigerian waters. And she came in, they brought her back to Nigeria today for investigation. So we are doing a lot, that we are not singing our praises and telling people that this is what we are doing. Definitely when there are such situations, the concerned people we want to call to know what is the situation. all that we need to do is to tell them that this is a situation we're investigating, and once we do our investigation and the vessel has a case to answer, we hand over to the appropriate agency, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, who carries out the prosecution in the court. Definitely people will call not to tell you that they should release the vessel, but they want to know what happened. And once we say we are carrying out investigation, then we wait for that investigation to be carried out. Okay. There are some vessels that after you have arrested or accosted them, they are not complicit. You allow them to go.
Okay. We have Mahmoud calling in from Niger. Hello, Mahmoud.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah. The topic is discussed. My contribution is the evaluation of topics, and it's affecting very sadly the all parts of the country, not the the government, the security agency are being reacted to ensure that on each will have minimum. But the issue is the leadership of the country is not doing their best. Today you have local bunkers in Niger Delta. These bunkers should either be local, international, or mixed, local and international. When don't we, these boys, these are local boys, you see them refining food oil in their own country. The federal government, the security agency, the all these boys, take them back to prison, don't reach the prison. Why can't we utilize these boys so that tomorrow in the next 2 decades we should be able to? These boys are not criminals. Let us use these boys and we receive that from the community. Increase them, investigate them, take them out of the country, let them do what they want. Respectively, that community, and the community is not the community of Niger Delta. The presidency should have the nature of Niger Delta after 1 or 2 years to checkmate the activities of the Niger Delta. So that there are so many things going wrong in that community, after so you have a lot of tests and bunkering. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Mahmoud. I'd like Comrade to respond to an aspect of what Mahmoud just said here now. Comrade Owan, he says you find these young men who, through their own ingenuity, have been able to set up and do, although illegal, refine this product, and rather than just criminalize them, you take them off and then deepen their knowledge and train them in this art, and we would beat them. How do you respond to that?
Refining crude oil is really not rocket science. It's basically just the process of separation under heat. So by the time you'd heat up the products, then you try to separate each of the component parts. From the activities of the artisanal local refineries, the only product that we get is basically diesel. The other products that should have been gotten it's what is now, because of course we don't have the technologies to get all the value chain from crude oil, and so once diesel is gotten, the rest is thrown into the environment, which causes a lot of degradation in terms of the environmental degradation in terms of the environment. So my personal comments would be that yes, the personnel in the Niger Delta that are carrying out these activities probably will definitely have rudimentary knowledge of separation processes, which can be deepened. I agree. And because of the failure of the system, because we have a lot of challenges in the Niger Delta, let's face it, you have high unemployment rates, you have a lot of neglect, which to a large extent have forced some of these young people into these illegal activities. And we must, as a government, in my opinion, have a policy or have a process to be able to gainfully engage the Niger Delta personnel, the youths in the Niger Delta who, yes, they may be engaged today in illegal activities. We call it out as it is, but the government should be alive to its responsibilities to cater for this very vulnerable group. Don't forget, the activities these are traditional farmers, traditional fishermen who probably would, because of the pollution that is associated with exploration in the Niger Delta, the neglect in the Niger Delta over the years, are now forced to engage in these nefarious activities. So I agree, there must be processes put in place to be able to gainfully engage these young people, but government should be alive to its responsibility. Someone said that what's so difficult to build a refinery? Why do we have our refineries today in such a state of disrepair over the years? So it is a complicated space. It is something that would need a whole lot of ingenuity, creativity, and most importantly, a political will to resolve. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution. There must be creative solutions. There must be solutions that will government agencies or the governments that the people are responsible can think out of the box to be able to resolve these issues. I must say this before I anchor my points. The government, as I said earlier, had been trying to find these solutions. One of the information that was passed across to us is the fact that there is a portal. In that portal, we talked about technology, the use of technology. You have a reporting portal where anybody, if you identify any suspicious activity in the Niger Delta area or in any oil producing facility, you can actually report using the URL stopcrudetheft.com. So if you go to www.stopcrudetheft.com, you will see a form that will pop up where you can actually report. Indeed, you can report anonymously if you may, giving details as to locations, as to and to once you do that reporting, it hits the portal immediately, and that portal is visible to both. I understand both the National Oil Company, that's NNPC Limited. I think the Navy also has some visibility over it, and then they will now take it up and they'll do some response. So these are all the, in my opinion, efforts that governments have made. But as they say, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. So we must be able to see appreciable progress made in the prevalence of this crude oil theft. The numbers, as at September, we have a declining production right now. So the figures that were released by the regulator had our production averagely was about 937,766 barrels per day on the average, which is a decline from August figures, a decline of about 3.5%. So are all these measures yielding fruits? Time will tell. But for today, as at today, we don't expect that it will happen, the effects will happen overnight. We are monitoring closely these production figures, and we hope that by the time Trans-Forgados pipelines is comes back on life, and the Bonny TMP to Bonny also comes up on stream, then we'll be able to note appreciable progress in terms of our production figures. But we will continue to monitor, we will continue to engage with the relevant agencies, the relevant government authorities, to ensure that these measures that are being put in place yield the required results that we all will visibly see and be able to appreciate.
Dr. Emu, what would you say to that?
I think obviously I must appreciate the present monumental success that we are now having in the Niger Delta, because the Nigerian Navy, Army, they have woken up out of slumberness, and now they are into activeness, into real action. And I think that our children that are involved in this illegal refinery, we should apply a method that was applied when presidential amnesty program was established, and our children were asked to drop their arms, which they complied with, and most of them were trained. Some of them have become doctors today, academic doctors, and so on and so on. And so our children are involved in illegal refinery. Let us invite them. Federal government to think of what we can do with them. Let us send them to the modular refineries. We have in Olobo, we have in Imo, I can count modular refineries, which are not working because federal government failed to issue crude oil licenses to this modular refinery. So let's bring them out of illegal refinery, then engage them with this modular refinery, engage them with our refinery if federal government really want to repair the refinery. So I think that is one of the solutions. If you are removing a knife from a little child that play with a knife, be ready to give that child a stick to hold, to play with. If not, the child will keep on crying. So let's get our children. It's a shameful thing to us that in Nigeria today, the Niger Delta is most polluted, neglected, with industrial pollution, environmental degradation, illegal refinery here and there. We are not happy as parents. We are ready to work with Nigerian Navy, with Nigerian Armed Forces, to make sure that we tidy up the security against oil thefts, against illegal refinery. But there must be provision for these children, because they are educated and they cannot be idle. They have been over neglected. So I think that will be a way out. We are ready to work with the federal government. We are ready to report any situation. The federal government, we know who and who is involved, who are the owners of the trailers, the trucks, who are the owners of the shuttling vessels, the barges, and so forth and so on. They are within us. We are not happy with that. But the children also will not just be arrested and then jailed and so forth and so on. They are finding a solution to a way of survival. So let's see how we can better the life of this youth of the Niger Delta together.
Okay. Alfred Moore, any idea, well, you are an expert in this industry, any idea of the magnitude of pipelines that we're looking at that is currently in the country? I'm asking this so as to know what you face, what the country faces in terms of the deployment of technology, for instance, in surveillance, and that also Captain Onisro would comment on that as well.
You're expecting me to comment first, or Mo should go first?
You want to go first? Go ahead, Captain Onisro.
Okay. Well,
I don't have the exact figures of all the pipelines because, as you know, the contracts are split between different contractors, some under even existing contractors.
So we'll return to you. Let's go to Alfred Ubo. And same question, right?
Smart sensors are being deployed to most of these pipelines, and these sensors are, they're live, they're timely, and they have been deployed by most of these private security concerns across the length and breadth of the Niger Delta, where these pipelines are being monitored. And there are things that we can, as a people, even beyond the limit of technology, that we must really understand. Like I said earlier, the fact that the government must really.
Alfred was saying perhaps there is a glitch within the system here. The audio is not audible here at all.
What I was saying is this: beyond the technology itself, which we know that most of these technologies have been deployed, and there have been tremendous success right from the end of the government corporations like the NNPC, from the numbers of security consultants, the surveillance consultancy companies that have been deployed. They have deployed most of these smart feeds, most of these sensors onto the pipelines, and it works, perfectly. There's no doubt about that. But we can only also say that there's a need for more advanced technologies, because you cannot really technology evolves, things new technical ideas, as threats also comes up, different threats comes up almost every day. So there must be some advanced level of technology that should be deployed to most of these pipelines. So there must be upgrades on the technology. But there is something that I actually find very important, and I must say this. Sabotage is something that is planned. It's a strategy that no matter the level of technology that you may want to deploy, before you start the deployment of such technologies, the stakeholders, if they are not very patriotic, they will do everything. They'll go out to do, to make a mess of what you may try to put on there. So there must be a political will in capital. There must be a political will by the government from the top to the bottom, to making sure that things work out. There must be prosecution. There must be high level of patriotism by all the stakeholders, and also the locals have to be given and must be given at each level of involvement. They must be involved so that they will take ownership, and they must take ownership of most of these facilities, because one, the environment are theirs. If it gets spoiled, if there is degradation, if it is oil spillage, if whatever happens down there, they are the first the first level of set of people that get affected. So they must be involved. They must get them involved. They must train them to know the best approach. Those who are already in on hands and understand these technologies must be involved. They must get the government somehow strategically must get them involved. So that's my take. technology you cannot, no amount of technology that can actually, technology is good, but there's no level of technology that can actually solve, the problem that is being, a problem, an attack that is consciously being planned just to sabotage. Because all theft, like I said, it's a huge, it's a big thing. It's a big thing. The money that is involved in oil theft, those who are doing this, the collaboration is not something that an ordinary person on the street or on the community can, like they said, you have to call. I mean, who do you call if even if you have?
Thanks. There's just this matter which I think Admiral Agada can clarify for us, and that's with your mandate, the military, the Navy particularly, and now that there is private involvement in protecting these national assets. Are there overlapping responsibilities here? Where is the line drawn between what the Navy does and what Tantita, for instance, does?
I believe that there is no overlapping. Constitutionally and statutorily, the security agencies are responsible to carry out security duties in the environment we are talking about. The private companies are in the role of availing intelligence to the government security agencies, who will carry out the necessary arrests or interdictions as will be required. So I don't see any overlapping or sort of like conflict in the roles. They are like a supporting arm or session to the security agencies. And as we have said, they may have a better local knowledge of the people that are involved in this menace, and therefore they should be able to come up to the security agencies to identify the individuals that are involved. But before I end my point, let me respectfully tell the chief that we have never and we will never go into slumber in the delivery of our mandate. What we are seeing today in terms of the cost of diesel in Nigeria, when you look back and see the period that the prices started rising, you can link it to the point earlier this year when we heightened our operations against these illegal refineries, because a lot of those products made their ways into the market as at then, and they help to contribute to the requirement, to the supply. But since we strengthened our resolve and have gone all out against these activities, we discover that the so-called profile are no more available. And where there is less supply and higher demand, naturally there will be increase in price, and that is what we witnessed. And also the captain testified to that from the communities, the bottle of kerosene that was going for 200, since their own activities, that has gone up to 700, because the supply has reduced, demand is still high.
Well, let's get a quick word in term by way of closing from Captain Eniswa. Hopefully we can hear you at this time as we round off in just 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much, Cyril. One of the things that I'm going to continue to ask for is programs like this, so that the communities will see the job the military is doing, the direction the country is going, and so much and so forth. But I would also like to seize this medium to encourage other pipeline security contractors to emulate Tantisa, that has gone employing literally as many people as they can along the pipelines within their contract scope. It helps to douse down the whole restiveness in the area and things like that. Now, I'd also like to thank the military for their cooperation. I mean, without the military, we would not have been able to do anything. I mean, intelligence is only as good as it is if you act upon it. So they have been acting effectively. The NNPC Limited has been very, very effective, and we thank God we got a government that is willing to deal with this problem effectively at this particular point in time. We wish they would stay longer so that it can help us raise a very, very good foundation.
All right.
And so others can come and follow.
Okay. At this point, I would like to thank you very much, Captain Walidi Niswo, Maritime Intelligence Aviation Satellite Systems Expert, Executive Director of Technical and Operations, Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited, who joined us via Zoom. Thank you very much for being with us tonight. Quick word of closing, Dr. Enu, for your communities.
It is a wonderful interactive section. I want to encourage NTA and the federal government to keep on educating our people by inviting people that can actually give solution, a suggestion, a solution to the issue. I appreciate the Nigerian military who are ready to work with the host community and with other security company. More thanks go to TSSL operators for doing a good work.
Comrade, in 20 seconds, your last word.
Two quick comments. First would be that we need to do more in terms of collaboration. We see to some extent some divergence in terms of focus on the issues. So I'll give an instance. Today on the news I heard that there was an agency looking for the equipment to detect vessels offshore. But today the Navy says they have those equipment. So if there's cross agency collaboration, we should be able to share these equipments, share information that will also aid in nipping this in the bud. And I'll commend the military. And also just quickly add that Nigerians are interested in the outcome.
Out of time, so I must cut you off at that point, and just to say thank you very much, Comrade Abuja Owan, Deputy President Pengasan, and thank you so much, Rear Admiral Solomon Agada, Chief of Training and Operations, Nigerian Navy. We thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Right.
Thank you, Nigerians.
And that's our program today. We thank you for watching. Next week we'll be back with NTA Tuesday Live. I'm Cyril Stober. Continue to stay safe.
And conversations. And the one that sickens me even more is the group of people that we call pedophiles. Oh, the people that cannot get it up, except it's the baby. Babies as young as 6 months, as young as 3 days.
That's so tragic. I don't even know.
That is my peace.
If you don't like cleaning up your own mess in the toilets, imagine how it feels for somebody else to have to come and do it.
Yeah. Men not wanting to help at home, domestic assistance, if you know what I mean. It's believed that some of those chores are supposed to be a woman's duty. The woman is supposed to cook, you're supposed to wash, you're supposed to clean.
Are the men taking it sitting down?
Definitely not.
Join us on Conversations this Wednesday, the 26th of October, 2022 at 9 a.m. on NTA Network. Let's hear the men's response.
NTA, you can't Deutsch.
In life's journey, when things happen, they happen for a reason. So don't lose hope. One thing is clear, it is taking you to that destination that you so desire. So brace up and brave up, because you have an amazing story to tell. Hello, amazing people. Good to have you on the program once again. Welcome aboard your #1 events program, coming to you on the network service of the NTA. I am Marianne Ayana, and this is Social Log. So this week, we're all about celebration on this episode. So stay tuned with us. We'll be right back. The Ugandan community resident in Abuja celebrated their 60th anniversary, and Nigeria, as always, fostering bilateral relationship between our country and theirs is key. Let's see this.
A warm, friendly evening filled with excitement and enthusiasm, with one agenda: to celebrate with Ugandans living in Nigeria as they marked their country's 60 years of independence from the British rule. The event, which was organized by the Ugandan High Commission in Nigeria, had in attendance members of the Diplomatic Corps and Friends of Uganda.
As you may know,
speaking at the event, Uganda's High Commissioner to Nigeria, Ambassador Nelson Ochega, said his country had recorded tremendous achievements over the past 3 decades since it gained freedom from the colonial rule. The High Commissioner observed that Uganda and Nigeria enjoy very close relations rooted in their history and shared values. A high point of his address was announcing the soon-to-be-launched Air Uganda direct flights to Lagos from Entebbe, a strategic move to increase business and tourism opportunities between both countries.
There is now an opportunity for African countries to trade among themselves. We have the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which framework I'm calling upon all the players in the continent to leverage upon and maximize the advantages it presents. That way, we can be able to move products within Africa more than we are able to move products from outside Africa to Africa. Once we increase trade or intra-Africa trade, we will stop the flight of capital outside Africa.
In his remarks, Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, represented by Ambassador Umar Salisu, congratulated Uganda on its 60th anniversary, saying Ugandans and Nigerians are like brothers and sisters, bound together by close cultures and social interaction and interrelation.
The banks and some other investments which Nigeria has already invested in Uganda have also come of age. They have employed a lot of people, both in Uganda and Nigeria, and they have expanded our revenue base as a country, because we now earn some dollars which come back to Nigeria, and I think a lot of other things that will also assist our development processes.
Since gaining independence from colonial rule, both Uganda and Nigeria have enjoyed a mutually beneficial socio-political relationship.
Africa have what it takes, and a lot of investors, both from the West, Asia, they are looking into Africa. And when they come, the first bus stop is the hospitality industry. As well, they have to accommodate themselves. So we need to look in, put all the protocols right.
All countries of Africa must stand up and fight for security and fight for unity. As ambassador of Burundi, I can call on countries to come to Burundi to see how we are organize our country.
We've been seeing the wonders of Uganda in the short stint there. You find out the same places in Nigeria, in West Africa, in the Southern Africa. You find the really wonders when it's come to tourism. So the potential is there. What we need to do is just to facilitate really the free trade and lifting the visa issue. That will be really a great step forward. But needful arrangements has to be done for us to achieve that result.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
This celebration of independence was an optimistic indication from both countries of their promise to continue to strengthen their diplomatic relations.
The journey may be far, but encouraging one another along the way is what Nigeria and Uganda is all about. Congratulations to them once again. Our second story is all about art, and in the world of art, concept and creative direction is key. On Social Up today, we'll bring you Stephen Bino's Sketchism.
The most important phase in creative process of any artist is finding creative direction. This period is considered as the discovery and evolution stage for the artist. Stephen Bino's, a contemporary visual artist, recently held a solo exhibition themed Sketchism, where the artist explored a new creative style with lines and sketches.
Sketchism is just sketch, is drawing without detail, just fast drawing. You're trying to express yourself in a fast way without too much details. And last year I did an exhibition. It was evolution, it was oil color, it was detailed, it was, and I was exhausted after that. I said, no. After that, I said, I want to do something more adventurous, something more creative. And I started experimenting with lines, with acrylic, and that was when sketches came about.
What we see today is a far cry from what he actually studied and what he has moved away to mostly unfinished, sketchy kind of. I guess that's why I called it sketch.
After realizing a creative vision, artists undergo a change in making their artworks gradually evolving into what they enjoy doing.
I always wanted to, celebrate our superstars, our Nigerian, youth that are pushing Nigeria to the world. These are the musicians, these are the athletes, the sports people. They're the ones really pushing Nigeria and, giving Nigeria a good name. This work is titled Sharks and Piranhas. As you can see, I have sharks here, sharks and piranhas. And this is Burna Boy. And Burna Boy with controversies and haters. So these are like the haters coming for him, but he's unfazed. He's standing tall. And these are all the places he has conquered, and he's still. You can see me, this is the great crown. I play the crown of Burna Boy's head. He's the king of music for now.
Interestingly, what stands out, the size of the work, the magnanimity, the depth of the artist, the graffiti concepts. I mean, it's a complete deviation from what he did last time. And if you know the Zaria Art School properly, you know that this is not what he was trained in school to do. This is him finding his own space, his own direction, and that is what makes an artist unique.
The linesman took his audience through sketching art style, with strong influence from a graffiti, pop art, comic art, street and poster art, with lines as the basic and constant elements of the works on display.
Growing up, he showed a flair for arts, for drawing, for creativity. So we did not try to push him into any direction. We just allowed him to follow what his interest is, and he has grown in that, and he has developed himself in that, and it is showing today.
From conceiving the idea and finally making an artwork into a masterpiece, artists like Stephen Binos develop expertise through several phases over the years and gradually evolve into independently creative problem-solving process, capable of generating new ideas and techniques in a quest for creative independence.
Intriguing doesn't quite capture the essence of that story. Absolutely beautiful. So our third story, from the beautiful home of peace and tourism, we're celebrating a choral rendition. Let's see it.
Good music and its appreciation has a way of reducing stress and improving the mood. Chamber Clef Chorale is a non-denominational chorale group with a membership comprising of young talented people with the sole aim of giving God praise and giving back to the society through music. The group, in lending its voice to the peace process in celebrating peace on the plateau, organized a program with the theme Strength for Today, Hope for Tomorrow. The guest speaker at the event emphasized that achieving true peace entails much more than laying down arms. It requires the building of societies where all members flourish.
We also sing songs to send messages and to relieve ourselves and the healing power of music. One of my strengths in peace building is offering psychosocial support through trauma healing to victims of crisis, and I know how art therapy has helped to heal people, not just heal them, but help them to find themselves in a space of healing. And if everyone heals, I'm sure that you know that we will achieve peace because there won't be need for retaliation or revenge.
Chamber Clef Chorale says their major objective is to build hope, strengthen the peace process through music, giving succor and taking away pain that violent conflict or insecurity brought.
Healing starts from the mind, and we feel if every individual has peace from the inside, it will radiate from the outside. And what goes in, one of the strongest tools that goes into the human mind is music. So we use music to preach peace.
In celebrating Nigeria's unique culture and tradition, the chorale gave a beautiful rendition to the admiration of all. Music enthusiasts present had this to say.
We need peace in our country. We need good leaders. We need to change things. We need to change the narrative in our country. We just need someone that will help us push it. We can't get this peace if we can only talk about it and we don't try to implement the things we say.
I'm so appreciative because when I came to this program, I was a bit moody. But when the songs started flowing, I became very much alive. And it's true, songs heal wounds.
For any nation to have meaningful development, peace must be the center of it.
All I can say is music is good for the soul. To our final story, we bring you the annual State Lecture and Awards ceremony held recently in Abuja by the Muslim Congress. I must tell you, it is a powerful one. Let's see it.
Nigeria is a country poised for greatness. To effectively harness our human and material resources, citizens are counseled to embrace our pristine moral values that appears lacking in our polity today.
I'm also delighted with this organization achieving the end of the program, which is restoring our 15 national values that are good for national development at this period, which are fast eroding in the society.
This and much more came to the fore at the 11th annual October lecture of the Muslim Congress Abuja chapter held recently at the nation's administrative capital.
Knowledge of the articles of faith, that's important. But sometimes the teacher of an eagle is a hypocrite.
How many of us are like that? Who can put to shame the reason of this world and insist on Islamic morality?
Two erudite Islamic speakers with renowned acclaim awoke the consciousness of participants on the imperatives of personal, family, and societal reformation as a panacea to the ills bedeviling the country.
We are all citizens of this country, and we believe that it is collective, and in our own little way is by organizing this program to synthesize the citizen and also to make people understand that government alone cannot do it, and by so doing we have our role to play too.
The speakers not only dwelt extensively on the human elements of the challenges experienced in the society, they also proffered lasting solutions to overcoming them.
Firstly is to take personal responsibility for who we are and how we contribute to what Nigeria is. To look around and be grateful with all the challenges, but to be grateful that we are where we are, that it could be better, but that is not somebody else's responsibility, it's our own. And that with all the challenges that we face as Nigeria, our situations will not change until we change ourselves. So while yes, there are responsibilities to leaders, everybody will answer before their creator. And the key is for us to be able to answer, what did we do with Nigeria now, while we were alive, with all the resources, talent, connection, knowledge, exposure, education that we have.
They emphasized on rejigging and reforming our spiritual connection with the creator of the heavens and earth as a veritable antidote towards restoring our pristine national values, which coincidentally is the theme of the lecture.
The solution to all these problems does not rest with one person. Nigerians must begin to understand that we all have roles to play. We must activate the leadership in us. Every follower is a leader. First and foremost, you are a leader of yourself, and which means that you compare yourself to maintain righteous conduct, and then you save the society from the liabilities of your own excesses. If each person is law abiding, the law courts will not be filled up every day adjudicating on what we have. If as Nigerians we refuse to kill, terrorism will be a thing of the past. If as Nigerians we train our children, all our children will become assets to the country and not liabilities. Every leader must follow the constitution. You must follow an agreed pattern of life. You swear before the constitution that you preserve the provisions of the constitution. But if you see the same provisions being violated, you know that you have not activated your own followership. And then we should also be contented. Let's do away with greed. Let's do away with man inhumanity to man. Let everybody understand that crime continues to be committed because perpetrators are yet to be brought to book.
Two iconic Muslim personalities were honored, one of which was posthumous. This was a recognition of their roles and positive contribution to the uplift of the religion. Reforming the nation requires that the populace exhibit high-quality leadership traits in their sphere of influence. These clusters of reformation will subsequently impact positively on the nation's overall progress and development.
Was many things rolled into one.
Everything we do is to better mankind, and we hope it stays that way. That's how much we have for you on the program today. Join us again same time next week. Remember, happiness is free. Joy is free. You have the power to choose. Stay safe, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Abuja Arts and Crafts Center, located in the Jabi district of New City. It is a hub for artisans from all over Nigeria and even neighboring countries where they share ideas, produce and market their artworks. Despite not having a permanent location and a befitting structure, the center boasts of a rich array of creative works, such as paintings, carvings, beadworks, and so much more.
I'm into craft and the paintings and some frameworks. Pure African women. This means that most of the times African women are huge. Their husband used to take care of them, so they have a body. Let me put it that way. So we used to create it just for fun, just to make fun. Like this one now, people used to come and pick it for decoration. Like this, just for decoration. This is the Nigerian map. This one is pen holder. You can put it in your office table like this, and they put your pen just for decoration. This one is a monkey, 3 wise monkeys. Okay, this one say I will not talk. This one say I will not see. This one I will not hear. That means anything you hear, you keep it to yourself for you to live long. Anything you see, don't say too much for you to live long. There are 3 wise monkeys.
As you can see, I'm trying to I'm making a portrait. You know, in art, it has different aspects. Like in portrait, we have abstract, we have realism, we have semi-realism. So this is a commission portrait. You know, so I still do other ones like abstract, mixed media.
We call it a rapier box. So normally this is the way you see it. This is the way the box used to come from Kano, Jigawa, Bauchi and other places. So this is my idea to open one side of the bag, to create what you give difference in the market. When you go around to the market, I believe you cannot see this kind of design. This is my idea. I'm thinking to create this kind of design. If you look inside, it's basket, but I use bead, wood bead, sand bead, and the turban to make it, because we used to see some from China, and they are buying maybe 600,000 naira for each pair. And if you fall down, you break it. But this our own made in Nigeria. If you take it off and put it on ground, it will not break.
This form of art is called wood carving. You understand? You take a lot of wood, imagine your design, and then bring it out. Like this, what I'm making here is an ashtray. Where we see, and later I'm going to make some openings here where you will be able to hang your secrets. Mostly we use very quality wood. Like this one is apan, where we use iron wood, we use malina, we use ebony, or lots of wood.
The center holds great attraction for art lovers.
I came here because I wanted some beads.
and they have beautiful beads here. Everything I see, people are very creative, they're doing new and interesting things.
Evidence that Nigerian artisans are capable of doing the arts and crafts to an international standard, and I think it's something for Nigerians, especially from all over the country, to be proud of.
I'm seeing things that I never knew existed in Abuja, and I'm quite impressed actually.
For a feel of African creativity, visit the Abuja Arts and Crafts Center. You will be glad you did.